हम लोग यहाँ एकत्रित हुए हैं इस बात पर विचार करने के लिए कि राजकोषीय नीति क्या है, व्हाट इज फिस्कल पॉलिसी। राजकोषीय नीति के अस्त्र क्या है, व्हाट आर द इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स ऑफ फिस्कल पॉलिसी। राजकोषीय नीति का उद्देश्य क्या है, व्हाट इज द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ फिस्कल पॉलिसी। बजट क्या है, क्योंकि फिस्कल का मतलब बजट होता है। तो बजट क्या है, बजट कितने तरह का होता है। बजट दो तरह का होता है, रेवेन्यू बजट और कैपिटल बजट। प्राचीन काल में जिस समय में पब्लिक फाइनेंस उतना विकसित नहीं था तो केवल होता था रेवेन्यू बजट, कैपिटल बजट नहीं होता था। अभी क्या है कि रेवेन्यू बजट भी है और कैपिटल बजट भी है। रेवेन्यू बजट में अकाउंट जो रहता है वो रेवेन्यू अकाउंट हुआ, कैपिटल बजट का अकाउंट हुआ, कैपिटल अकाउंट हुआ। अब रेवेन्यू बजट जो होता है वो समझिए कि रोजमर्रे का आमदनी और खर्च, सरकार का रोजमर्रे की आमदनी और खर्च होगा। जितना कमाए उतना खर्च किए, जितना कमाए उससे कम खर्च किए, जितना कमाए उससे ज्यादा खर्च करना पड़ रहा है। ज्यादा खर्च पड़ना है तो आपको कर्ज लेना पड़ेगा। तो रोजमर्रे का वास्तविक जो स्थिति है उसको दर्शाता है। और कैपिटल बजट अलग इसलिए किया गया कि कर्जा लेकर के हम उसको इनकम मान लेंगे। कर्जा को क्या मान लेंगे, इनकम। तो आप बोरोइंग किए लेकिन उस अकाउंट में लिखेंगे कि इतना मेरा इनकम है और उसी को फिर खर्च करेंगे। तो कैपिटल बजट जो है वो सही मायने में आपकी आर्थिक स्थिति को के कमजोरी को दर्शाता है। रेवेन्यू बजट आपकी आर्थिक स्थिति के मजबूती को दर्शाता है। दोनों को मिला देने पर वो बजट कहलाता है। अब आपका कौन मजबूत है, रेवेन्यू वाला मजबूत है कि कैपिटल वाला मजबूत है। तो कैपिटल वाला मजबूत होना अच्छी बात नहीं है क्योंकि कर्जा है। पहले आप खुद कर्ज लिए और अपना मकान गिरवी रखे, बाद में फुसला के बाबूजी का मकान गिरवी रखे, बाद में फुसला के बानोई का मकान गिरवी रखे। हर गिरवी पर आपको अकाउंट में पैसा आता चला जाएगा और लास्ट में आपका बिजनेस जो है फ्लॉप कर गया। तो केवल हार्ट अटैक आपको नहीं आवेगा, एक साथ जो है आपको आवेगा, आपके फादर को आवेगा, आपके बानोई को आवेगा, क्योंकि सबका पैसा उसमें इन्वॉल्व है। तो कर्ज कभी भी अच्छा नहीं है, ये बात एडम स्मिथ कहते थे। एडम स्मिथ का कहना था कि स्मॉल बजट, ताकि आपको कर्ज लेना ना पड़े। जितनी आपकी रोजमर्रे की आमदनी है उतना ही रोजमर्रे का खर्च होना चाहिए। सरकारी ऑफिस में आप काम करते हैं तो आपका वेज मिलेगा, सैलरी मिलेगा। तो सैलरी और वेज को देने के लिए उतना आप प्रोडक्टिव काम कर रहे हैं, उससे जनरेट हो रहा है, उसको टैक्स करते हैं। तो सरकार टैक्स लगाई, उससे जो पैसा आया वो खर्च के बराबर हो गया, संतुलित बजट हो गया। तो इसको हम लोग सब डिटेल में हम लोग अब चर्चा करेंगे। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई डिफाइन फिस्कल पॉलिसी। Fiscal policy is that policy which is prepared and implemented by budget by the government. When I talk government, my intention is central government or federal government. In USA federal government, in India central government. But a state government has also its budget. The state government budget is just like central government budget, but the methodology is same. But item is different. Some taxes are imposed by center and some taxes are imposed by a state. So this is the difference. But the main theory of budget is related to the same principle, that budget is an annual statement of government income and expenditure. Government income is known as government revenue, and expenditure means government expenditure. So if government revenue is equal to government expenditure, this is called balanced budget. If government revenue is less than government expenditure, this is called unbalanced. Unbalanced budget may be of two types. overbalanced and underbalanced. What is overbalanced budget? That is surplus budget. If there is surplus in the budget, tax is greater than expenditure by the government. This is called surplus budget. Tax is greater than expenditure. So if we say that this is tax revenue and this is government expenditure. If this is this or this is called surplus budget. This is called deficit budget. This is called balance budget. Surplus budget is called overbalance budget. Overbalance budget. Deficit budget is called as underbalanced budget. Underbalanced budget. So fiscal policy deals with budgetary provisions. Fiscal policy is a policy of the central government which will be applicable to all parts of the country. Therefore, fiscal policy is a national policy. National fiscal policy, which will be applicable to all states and union territory in our country. In India, there is difference between central government and state government and local government. In India, there are 3 types of government at a time. First is local government, that is Panchayati Raj. Another is state government, which is all are elected members. In Panchayat also Mukhya is elected, Sarpanch is elected by the people's vote. So in Indian context, first highest powered government is central government. Central government fiscal policy will be applicable to all states and all union territories. A state government budget will be applicable to all parts of the state, one state. Every state has own government, own political party which is winner party that will rule there. And in Panchayat there is a local government run by the elected bodies. So fiscal policy is a governmental policy, and fiscal policy is also known as budgetary policy. Everything which is done in fiscal, done in the budget. In the budget, fiscal policy receive income, that is in the form of taxation. In the budget, fiscal policy receive items of expenditure. That is what item of expenditure government is like to spend money. Coming to the side of taxation, there is a tax revenue. But there is also non-tax revenue. Tax revenue is direct tax, indirect tax. What is non-tax revenue? Disinvestment. Selling of the government shares to the private sector. Privatization. Privatization is a source of income to the government, that is non-tax revenue. Fees, court fees, land registry fees. Fees is a source of government, that is non-tax revenue. Fine, penalty, pollution tax. If your car is polluted and you are caught in the town by inspector, then you will be penalized. So everyone has to get their car pollution free, pollution certificate. So pollution tax, pollution penalty tax. In colleges, if you attempt cheating, you will be arrested in Bihar. And 2,000 students will have to pay for release from the court. They are sent to the court, and from there magistrate gives them relief. So fees, fine, and selling of the government assets, properties as the source of income, leasing of the government property for 40 years, 30 years to private party and getting royalty. Minerals, minings are given on lease, and certain portion of the income is given to the government as leasing tax, leasing payment, fees of the leasing. So, in the budget, income, revenue of the government is of two types, tax and non-tax. Tax is direct tax. Direct tax in India is income tax, corporate income tax, corporate tax, profit tax, wealth tax. All these are direct tax. Death duty is also direct tax. Death duty means inheritance tax. Inheritance tax. Death duty means
inheritance.
Inheritance tax. There is a estate duty, which is also death duty. What is the death duty? Person who died, he will go in the heaven, leaving all property here on earth. Some people are inheritor, his son, daughter, his brother, all these are legal. They have right to their property. Before registry of the property, final round tax on the property which you share, that is known as inheritance tax. Whatever property you get in your name after death of your father or grandfather, that property is given to you only after a payment of inheritance tax. If there are more than one son or daughter, 2 or 3, 4 daughter, son, then property will be divided into 3 parts, and each will pay their own part of inheritance tax. Clear? And then is estate duty. Estate duty is imposed when there is only one son. Only one Indira Gandhi. All property of Jawaharlal Nehru coming from royalty of his book will go to Mrs. Indira Gandhi's account because she is inheritor. But after Indira Gandhi, 2 persons are inheritors, Rajiv Gandhi and Sanjeev Gandhi. Unfortunately, Sanjeev Gandhi died earlier. Then his son, Varun Gandhi, will inherit. And Rajiv Gandhi's son, both Rahul and Priyanka will inherit. If more than one inheritor, then inheritance tax is not imposed. Then estate duty is imposed. A total tax will be collected from one person because only one inherits. So this is called direct tax. Indirect tax nowadays in India is very simple, that is known as GST. In fact, 17 types of taxes, 17 types of taxes were imposed in India under indirect tax net. Excise duty for production, tax on producer, sales tax, tax on selling, custom duty when you import or export. When you export, export duty. when you import duty. So what we find out that in our economy, indirect taxes were 17 in number, and it was difficult for tax collectors to deal with. GST, one tax, one nation. GST is one tax, one nation, and now all indirect taxes clubbed under GST. GST, 50% will go to the state, 50% go to the center. So 18% if it is collected, then 9% will go to center and 9% go to the state. This is very systematic way, a new development. At present, GST has 4 or 5 stages, but finally in future we hope that the slab will be reduced. Income tax slab is 3 slabs or 4 slabs, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%. Likewise, there is 4 slabs in indirect tax. Slab must be reduced if these are on necessary goods. So experiment is going on. In 1 or 2 years it will be settled finally. In India, in 1 year, 300 amendments were done. In 1 year, 300 amendments done in GST. It means every day there is amendment. Because the large country, volume and 17 taxes, how to incorporate all taxes, it is a difficult problem. So these are revenue side. And expenditure side, government expenditure is the amount which is spent by government on different items which are prescribed in the budget. All expenditure allocation is done in the budget. In the budget, there is 3 categories: economic services, social services, general services, technical services. For all those services, government has spent through different departments. There are 30 plus departments which will run after the mineral department, industry department, agriculture department, food processing industry department, home department, forest department, foreign capital department, commerce department. Likewise, many departments handle their income and expenditure of that sectors. So these are the background of the budget, which are being the part of the fiscal policy. Fiscal means budget. Fiscal term is substitute for budget. What is the fiscal instruments? We have discussed the meaning of fiscal policy, meaning of fiscal policy, meaning of budgetary policy. Budgetary policy will take into consideration both revenue budget and
capital budget.
And fiscal policy will take into consideration all revenue and capital budget items. So now we expand these terms taking into account. Title is fiscal instruments. What are the fiscal instruments? Fiscal instruments are: number 1 instrument is taxes, which we have described just earlier, direct and indirect taxes. Number 2 instrument is public expenditure. Public expenditure. Taxation means government will impose tax. And tax is a quid pro quo. If tax is not quid pro quo. Tax is not quid pro quo. If you pay government tax, you cannot demand in lieu of tax some facilities and something related to road development, electricity development. Can't demand. You pay tax and go. It is government priority to discuss how to develop country. Government will have its own plan to develop. No taxpayer can demand anything in exchange for the tax. Quid pro quo is a term which means equal exchange. Quid pro quo means
equal action.
equal action. But in taxation you have to pay only. You will not get anything from government at that time. So tax is not a quid pro quo. Tax is a compulsory payment. Anyone who evades tax will be penalized. Tax evasion is a crime. So if you are earning, there will be tax deduction at the source. In our country, your income tax payment is the responsibility of your employer. If you are employer of any company, they pay you salary and deduct tax. Every month tax will be deducted so that it will be remitted to the accounts of income tax. If you have done fixed deposit, interest is paid to you. As soon as interest is paid, 10% is deducted from that amount and sent to the income tax department. Your name is there. That will go to you in your account of income tax. So, first instrument is taxation. Second instrument is public expenditure. What is public expenditure? My question is, what is the difference between expenditure and outlay? What is the difference between expenditure and outlay? Tell me. What is the difference between expenditure?
Then this is the expenditure on myself. But we say it's outlet, so it is a company product.
Outlay means?
Company product.
Company?
Product which so कहते हैं ना वो कंपनी को उसका आउटलेट आ गया मैंने कोई
बजट जो है आने वाला आगे के 12 महीने का रहता है तो महीना तभी आया ही नहीं है तब खर्च कैसे कीजिएगा कागज पर लिखा हुआ है कि आपको खर्च करना है आउटले इज फ्यूचर एक्सपेंडिचर बजट इज फॉर 12 months and 12 months outlay is printed in the budget but every month is crossing outlay turning into expenditure. Month ended, then government will release that this amount is spent. Government outlay is 5,000 crore and expenditure is 2,000 crore, 3,000 crore is left. Then this is a bad management. You have given money to spend, then you spend it. You must call bidders, contractors and activate the things that you money should spend. So every month there is outlay and every month there is expenditure. Month ends, if expenditure is not done, that money will be spent in next month. When 12 months is over, money is not spent, that will return to the central government. Central government will spend it in northeast area, where revenue is less, but our border of our country is there. Chinese border is in Tripura, Bangladesh border is in Meghalaya. So expenditure is high. So if Bihar could not spend the budget amount, that amount will return back after the budget period to central government. And central government has arranged that will be spent in northeast states for their development. Expenditure can be done there. But present Bihar government spend all amount which is allotted to that. Therefore, growth of Bihar is very high. Many new buildings come up. Many new projects are being implemented. River bridges completed. because government is spending full amount of the budget. This is great thing. Previously, government Bihar could not spend the money returned back to the central government. Clear? So what is difference between expenditure and outlay?
Expenditure means that we actually spend, and outlay means you spend in future.
Yes. This is called knowledge. This is called knowledge from teacher going to the student, and now the student is ready to differentiate between expenditure and outlay. Expenditure is spent money.
Spend money.
And outlay is to be spent in future. And finally, when budget is over, if both are equal, then it means efficiency is high. If expenditure is less and outlay amount is greater, it means inefficiency in the administration is found. Third is public debt. No. Public expenditure, you understand expenditure and outlay. There are three types of public expenditure. General public expenditure services, general. Economic services expenditure. Technical services expenditure. These are the different categories. Social expenditure, education, etc. And then come to the next point, next instrument, public debt. Public debt is a borrowing by the government from the people in home currency. Government borrow from the people
in home currency
to complete any project like road expansion, national highway construction, repair, building construction. So this is done by the government. This is known as public debt. Government float public debt certificate. Businessman purchase it, give cash to the government, and high rate of interest government pay on that. And this is gilt as security. It can be cashed. It can be in cash any time in any bank, commercial bank can give you on the basis of this. So public debt is another instrument. And last instrument is budget. Budget is, as I explained you, budget is the annual statement of income and expenditure of the government. Budget has two separate accounts, revenue accounts and capital account. The revenue account deals with taxation and expenditure in current year. Capital account deals with loan by the government, borrowing by the government, and spending that borrowed money in the construction of bridge, in construction of metro, in construction of national highway, in construction of buildings, government museum. These are done on the basis of capital budget. Revenue budget cannot permit all these things. Salary is paid through the revenue budget. If all salary are paid by revenue budget, it is a good sign. So it is said that the best governance is that where the revenue budget is surplus. So that you save something. If your revenue budget is surplus, it means there is efficient government. And capital budget is a loan money. It depends upon the government own contact with the international institution. IBRD gives loan to the private sector as well as the state government. IMF cannot give loan to the state government. IMF gives loan only to central government. But IBRD gives loan to the state government. World Bank gives loan to the state government. So this is the difference. And last is deficit financing. Last is deficit finance, number 5. in instruments, last had deficit finance. Deficit
financing.
finance. What we have taken? Taxation, number one. Number two,
Public debt.
public expenditure. Ordering is always followed.
Okay.
Number three, public debt. Number four, budget.
Budget.
Number five, deficit financing. What is deficit financing? Deficit financing is the instrument of fiscal policy. Deficit financing means
Instrument of fiscal policy.
printing of notes, printing of new notes, printing of new currency notes is known as
Deficit financing.
deficit financing. But before printing, government will utilize past saving, past year's saving will be utilized. But this saving is limited. Government saving is minus, very little amount. Because government target is to spend more, even by taking loan. Then borrowing from RBI. You have been seeing in the newspaper, government wanted to borrow reserve fund from reserve fund RBI. RBI refused to pay. It is duty of RBI to give money to the government if government is willing to borrow and to make up deficit financing. Deficit financing is defined as a technique in economics, in financial economics, is a technique to bridge the gap between government revenue and government expenditure. This will be bridged finally by printing of new currency notes. In India, it is peculiar. In India, monopoly power is given to print notes to RBI. For 2 rupees, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, 500 rupees, 2000. But 1 rupee note is printed by government of India. So if government is in need of money, government can print its own note, 1 rupee note bundle, 100 bundle, and pump into the economy. This is called deficit finance. Deficit finance is an instrument of fiscal policy in which saving, borrowing, all are exhausted, then it will be taken into consideration that print new notes.